Hello, sports fans. So my last video, I talked about why I think the Padres will make the 2024 World Series. And now in this video, the big question is, who will they face in the 2024 World Series? And I said that I didn't think the Padres would win the World Series this year. So I think that this team will also win the World Series as well. And, well, without further ado, here we go. So let's start in the AL West, which is arguably the weakest division in all MLB right now. And there's only really two teams that we have to consider, the Astros and the Mariners. And the Mariners have great pitching. George Kirby and Logan Gilbert are two great starters that lead the way. And that's kind of the best part about their team, in my opinion. However, their offense isn't great. And in the month of July, they just really did not play well. And it kind of soured my own opinions on the team, so I don't really think that they're quite contenders. The Astros, on the other hand, they've been really consistently good for the last 10 years, so it's really hard to ever count them out, and they still have great offense from Tucker, Alvarez, and Altuve. They have an ace in Ronel Blanco, but I just don't think that this team is quite good enough to win more than one series. Last year they won one series, and they are probably better than what their record indicates overall, but I'm just going to say that they're not quite there. They're a lot weaker than the other Astros teams that, have made it far or even won the World Series. So I'm going to say the Astros will win the division, but there's no real contenders in this division for me. Now we have the AL Central. The AL Central is a pretty stacked division. I mean, you have the Guardians, the Twins, and the Royals. Let's start with the Royals. I think that this team is the biggest surprise of the year. I mean, 2023, they were terrible. And then this year, they've just rebounded. And ever since the start of the season, I was like, why are the Royals this good? It just really surprised me. Maybe some people saw it coming, but not me. Bobby Witt Jr. is obviously incredible. I mean, I think he should get some MVP consideration. I mean, will he win it and should he win it? Maybe not, but you can't deny he's having an incredible year. And they have great starting pitchers. I mean, Seth Lugo, Singer, Reagans are a great rotation right there. And I think that this team could, I actually think they will make it out of the wild card round. And they could even upset another team in the next round. But I just don't think that their lineup has enough depth overall. Obviously you have Bobby Witt Jr. and Salvador Perez is somehow still playing pretty well after all these years. But I'm going to say that the Royals won't make it. They won't make it all the way. Now, the Twins, they're also strong. They have an offense with Correa and Buxton and other great contributors too. I mean, it's not just them two. Castro and Miranda aren't bad either. And I think this will be useful, but I just don't think their pitching is quite good enough for them to really make a deep run. So, just like the Royals, I mean, I think they could win a series for different reasons. But as for a deep run, I think they're not going to make it. And last but not least, the Guardians. And the Guardians are real, true contenders. I mean, from the offense, you have Jose Ramirez, Kwan, Fry, Naylor, and they have the best bullpen in MLB. And by a pretty wide margin, at least just by the ERA itself. So that'll pay huge dividends in the postseason. But for one thing, they have lost their last 5 games, so they're in a little bit of a slump. But nonetheless, I do think they're true contenders. And if you have them going all the way, I don't really blame you. I'll get more into my prediction at the end of the video, but they're true contenders. Now let's go to the other stacked division in the AL, which is the AL East. And firstly, I want to talk about the team that's on my shirt, the Red Sox. I just want to say that the Red Sox are my second favorite team. It's a distant second from the Padres, but they still are my second favorite team nonetheless. And if they made the World Series against the Padres, that would be like a dream scenario. Obviously, I would root hard for the Padres, but I would not be disappointed if the Red Sox disappointed, or at least I wouldn't be as disappointed. So, okay, that was a little rant on why I want the Red Sox to go to the World Series, but they do have a good team. Duran and Devers are great, and they actually have, like, I think, good pitching overall, but I mean, they aren't even in, like, the playoffs. If the season ended today, I don't even think they would make the playoffs, and I just don't think the team is strong enough. And trust me, I really want to say that they'll go all the way to the World Series, and because I think the Padres will win it, but I'm gonna say they're not quite there yet. Maybe in a few years, but not this year. Now going to the Orioles, they have an amazing offense. I mean, Gunnar Henderson just having an incredible year, and Santander is another great plus, and a bunch of other guys. It's not just them two. They obviously had the offense, but it's not like you could really work around the lineup because it's pretty strong. And their pitching could be better, and that is a little bit of a concern. But I think their offense will help out when they have, when their pitching has those off nights. And I mean, they still have Corbin Burns, so that's at least one solid guy there. And I just think that this team is really young and hungry. I mean, we saw like 2 years ago, they all of a sudden rose, and then last year they did really well as well. And I think they are true contenders. And then lastly, you have the Yankees, and the Yankees are stacked. I mean, you could say that I don't know if they might not have the best record in MLB, but if not, they're pretty close. And I just do think that in some ways you could say this team is the best team on paper. I mean, Judge and Soto are, MVP candidates. I think maybe Judge should win the MVP overall. And the pitching, you have Luis Gil, and just great depth overall. And like, their bullpen's good. Not as good as the Guardians. I mean, no one's bullpen is as good as the Guardians, but it's still great. I do kind of worry though about the Yankees. And I don't like them, so not really worried in that sense. But if you're a Yankees fan, I just think that since 2009, I mean, the team hasn't made it back to the World Series. I almost think, like, not that they're cursed. They still have 27 World Series titles, but it's almost like, it's almost like the luck's just now not on their side, They're kind of paying for, having all those good years now. So I mentioned a lot of teams there, and even though some were better, they were all worth mentioning, which made this really hard to predict. But I think in the end, I'm going to go with the Orioles. They're in a tight race right now, and they may not win the division, but even if they don't, I think that they could get out of that wild card round and just, ride the wave all the way to the World Series and win it. Like I said, their offense is amazing. So even if the pitchers aren't as good one night to the next, I think their offense can bail them out, and Corbin Burns will do some good work, I believe. And this will mean that Machado will face his former team in the World Series, which I think will be amazing. Maybe some people don't care about that storyline as much, but I think that's pretty fun. And the Orioles, they're going to take their 4th title. So if you're an Orioles fan, you're probably happy to hear this. But if you have a different opinion, please let me know. Like I said, it was a hard decision to make, but I'd like to hear your thoughts because I'm sure they're great.